Good afternoon and good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me for another chilled out, relaxed, and carefree afternoon / evening in regards to 3D Shenanigans. Oder sollen wir den Stream heute auf Deutsch machen? Können wir auch gerne machen. Guten Abend nach Deutschland, nach Duisburg und nach Homburg, wenn ich mich recht erinnere. But I guess for the benefit of the huge international audience there, let's keep it English, shall we? One of those things. Perhaps one day I'll do a German stream, just to commemorate, I don't know, something, Liberation Day or something. I don't know. Anyway, let's jump right in and do some technical. Exactly, Christina. Let's do some technical things. You said, Christina, that there is a new version of Blender out, 2.81a, and why don't we just put that on the computer before we get started? I haven't even tried it out. I've only just found out about it. Let's go and do it right away. So yeah, I can see we have about 6 viewers right now, and that means it's you and Gorma and many other people that may be watching out there. I don't know if they speak German. Do you think there's a market for German 3D streams out there? I wonder. I've been doing a lot of editing today, and that was very relaxing. So I haven't looked at 3D for a while. Well, for 2 days or so. Blender 2.81. Download the A version. Okay, let's go do this. I'm going to use this one, the portable version, I think. Join the Blender cloud. I already did. There we go. So portable, and then I believe I'm gonna put it just with my other blenders, I think, which I believe were all these exclamation marks here. They mean that Adobe Creative Cloud has an issue with some syncing thing. It really isn't a good cloud storage service, I must say. There's so much stuff that goes wrong, syncing not happening. Maybe one day I will upgrade to Dropbox. I go, my computer's linked up again. This one here. So let's go and extract that to maybe here. That would be good. Meanwhile, here we're going to look for where I had stored Blender. I think it's in this directory that I shouldn't really be putting it in, but it's kind of worked well. Blender Foundation, here it is. That's the one. Why this takes that long, I don't know. Usually it just goes like, but hey, we've got time. Config folder, good idea. Yes, thank you so much. That's a very good idea. It's exactly how we're going to do that. Yeah, why does this take so long? I have no idea. More importantly, do we all have coffee? And also, before I forget, before we get into the whole coffee discussion, big shout out to my man Steve Wood Davis down under in Queensland, who is currently in the hospital with with what used to be a heart attack last Saturday. And I so wish you all the best, man. I hope you're going to get out of the hospital very soon, and I hope they can spare you that bypass operation. I hope it's not going to happen. Let's just all hope, and all the good wishes and prayers going your way, my friend. I hope you're going to be with us as soon as possible. And if you're in hospital and you're watching this right now, we're all thinking of you, and you're sorely missed while you're away. But hopefully you're going to recover very, very soon, Steve. Yeah, Steve, in case you don't know, Steve, that is Backdoor 3D in the chat. I'm gonna go rename that to Blender 2.81a. I'll go and copy that into here, and I will do that as well. Boom, I like it, I like it. Copy, move rather, move, even better. Now I'm gonna go into this folder, and I'll grab my whole config folder out of here, go and, wouldn't it be nice if there's a copy command? There isn't, is there? The copy isn't here. Paste this grayed out, why? There we go, copy, ha. Ooh. Go into A, go into, oh no, we don't want that, we don't want that. That is not what we want. So this is my root folder. I'd like for this to be named Blender 2.81a. There we go. And that I would like to go into here, which of course, that's not going to be, it's not going to be an issue. Hopefully not. Yeah, there we go. That's what I want. That's what I want. Now I'm going to go paste that thing in here. So that should be that. And now all we need to do is fix that little open file location. Go and rename that. Well, probably go into properties for that, and go and just rename that into A. That should do, not S, A. That should do that. Start in also in here. A, there. Start in that, and we want that to be, what was that, under security, options, security maybe? No, that was in compatibility. Run this as an administrator, perfect. So in an ideal world, this is now a release, perfect. So now we're going to go and put that on the pin to start, maybe put that at the top spot. Oh, and the scripts add-ons. Oh, good point, Christina. Very good point. Let's do that. Scripts add-ons. So I don't use Rigify, so I can probably go and so that was it. Scripts add-ons. Just add-ons. This folder, is that what it is? It is, isn't it? So that contains all my. I can just have a look. That contains all the. Yeah, add mesh rocks. That's the one I've added. So yeah, let's grab the whole folder add-ons. Yeah, let's do that. Scripts add-ons. So it's got two of them. Maybe I'll just go and shall I just rename that one into add-ons default, perhaps? Oops, dude. Rather than just get rid of it. Default. And then I'll just go and paste that into here. Wow, quite a few scripts to be copied. Okay, cool. So I'll leave that out. I'll just leave that one as it is. Add-ons contrib, I'll leave that out. And I've just renamed my regular add-ons folder that came with this installation into add-ons default. So just that I, that I've got something going here that I don't throw it in the trash. Maybe there's some script that we need. Let's see if it works, shall we? Blender 2.81, brand new release. Windows protected your PC. Man, no, do run this. Blender, Stitching Blender Foundation. Don't know why it's called that on the certificate, but it's hey, one of those things. The Stitching Blender Foundation. Still waiting Windows. Windows. Got you. Thanks, Christina. Well, are you starting? Oh, oh, there we go. Let's go. Okay, okay. Being too impatient there. Just need to give it that extra 30 seconds. Do you know, I had a very exciting thing happen with Premiere the other day. Ah, there we go. 2.81a. I like it. I like it. A very interesting thing with Blender, with Premiere, there's a folder on my desktop which has a problem. So the footage in that folder has an issue, and as a result, both Windows and Premiere freak out when I try and play something in that folder. So I don't know what that's all about, but let's stay well clear of that folder. That's what I'm saying. So let me just show you two things that I've done since we've been away from this. If you remember on the last episode, I had tried to rig up, I basically added the rover as a static model into our animation, and then I realized the wheels aren't moving. So then I went and separated the wheels in our animation file and made sure that they could rotate. And I did all that, and by saving the file and reopening the file, Blender put all the wheels into the same position underneath the rover, all scrunched up, and that wasn't really usable. So I thought, wonder what I did wrong there. And it turns out I redid the exact same steps after the stream, and the same thing happened. So it must have been something that I'm doing wrong, and it's probably because I've made it, the model wasn't zeroed when I did something with it. So I suppose all the wheels assumed the origin point underneath the rover, which is probably the origin point of the rover. I don't know why that happened. They had all been separated. So the only thing that brought it back to life was, in fact, when I took the rover out into a separate file and did all the manipulations there, and then imported it again as a rigged model into this file. And then I basically recreated every keyframe for the new rover. It's a little bit of a mess working like that, but now we have a rover with turning wheels, which is great. Let me just go and switch that thing off, and we can see the whole animation. Here he is running around. I'll slow this down. And here we see him with properly turning wheels. So that's very exciting. The final animation is a little bit slower. I'm retiming this on the output, only because I couldn't be asked to literally drag all the keyframes out twice as long. Maybe there's a way to do it. I don't know which one it is. But this is where we are right now. So I'll show you the separate Blender file in a moment if you're interested. But for now, if we go and zoom into the little guy, we can see that his wheels are indeed turning. So that is good. But I had to literally bring in the whole model again, and then literally go and position the cursor on each keyframe of the old rover, then bring the new rover to the exact position, correct it in sort of lateral space and all that, and that is what I did. So he turns here, his wheels also turn over here. We can just about see that, what he's doing. That's just a small drive. Then he repositions himself off camera and does this. And we can also see that at the very beginning, that when he's turning around here a little bit, he's just turning there. The wheels also move, so we'll probably see that in the final animation. Yes, I thought that was quite good as well, Christina. I thought that was really cool. And so this is the final. I'm not going to save that. This is the final file in which I did that. And here I didn't use the timeline at all. This was literally just the driver. Literally, just as I said it last time, when a wheel is selected, and we know, like in this case, it rotates around the x-axis, I set up, right-click on here, set up a driver. There's an option called Add Driver here. Now I have Edit Driver, and this is what it does. So essentially I'm taking this variable out, which is just called var, and I'm multiplying that by a value here, and I'm checking what I'd like to feed into that parameter. So the rover object needs to be selected. Type is then the Y location, which is the rover moving on the Y axis. And that parameter then feeds the rotational parameter with a formula to make it look good. And as a result, if I select the rover and I go and switch that, no, actually I need to switch that on, don't I? If I go, no, I can do it with a keyboard shortcut. So GY, as soon as I do that, the rover's wheels turn. And the great thing about that is that no matter how fast I move the rover, the wheels will always retain that type of spin. So I move the rover fast, they spin fast. I move it slow, they spin slow. That's a really nice way. I didn't know Blender had that, so I'm really chuffed that I could figure that out. In fact, I've made some notes here on my website, and let me just go and post that. How to make wheels turn in Blender 2.8. That's the one. Copy link location. I go put that over in the chat now. Does this work? It does. Woo! There we go. Give it a read. That's the whole explanation right there of this, of how I did that. And yeah, I had to do this in a separate file, but hey, that's just, it worked at the end of the day. So that's all I needed to know. I've also found out there's another way. Last time I was looking for autosave files, and it looks like they're in here. They're in recover autosave. So last session is literally the last session, I guess. But autosave brings up this huge list of autosave files, so I didn't have to dig into a temp directory. Blender has actually offered that, and here it tells me what the temp directory was. So that's kind of cool. I could go through some of these, but none of them brought it back. So I guess it was because I didn't rig the wheels in a zeroed position or not. I don't know. It's one of those things. You're welcome, Christina. Of course. Yeah, I always like that, making notes on something that I've just discovered. So then yesterday, just as a little test, I went ahead and tried out what I want to finalize today, and that's in this file here. Right, indeed, yes. Yes, you did. Let me see if I can find it, just so that we have a reference there as to where that is. Once Blender loads up again, under Edit Preferences. Let's see where that is. System, I would imagine. Maybe it's not System. Maybe it's Navigation. Maybe save in the File Paths, probably. File Paths. There it is. Temporary files. Aha. So I could move that to a completely different kind of secure directory, I guess. Yes, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. It's one of those things, I'm kind of happy that it works. And also, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter where these temp files are stored, as long as we know where they are. And this is how we find out. There's another good article here, how to find Blender's directory for temp files and how to change it. There we go. So one of the things I want to do, and I did that in this file, is to add some simple physics in two places. I think I mentioned that last time. And I tried that with a cube, and it works. And I just did that with cube. So this is the camera. These are, imagine them being out of vision. I'd like for the rover to drive past here and then kind of kick off some loose rocks. And this is what it would look like, with rocks. And once we show the logo, and once the rover has passed, I'd like for some more rocks to go over the logo. So I haven't done that yet. But I've managed to do this with simple cubes, and they fall very fast, but it'll just be a nice little effect that happens here. So we have all these types of rocks. So I'm going to copy those and make some of those fall, like, 20 or so, and then we'll try and make, about 50 or 100 or so fall once we get to the end of the animation. And I'll do that from scratch, so I don't want to replace this geometry with something else. I'll just go and do that from scratch, because that's it's always challenging to do. But yes, so that's what I wanted to do. And ideally, I mean, realistically, what I should do to keep it completely realistic is, rather than those things falling from the top, they should really be sitting on the side, and then something should push them off as the rover goes by. But I won't be bothering with that, because it's this, we're going to animate them out of vision, and then when this happens, they'll just go fall from the top. We're not going to see that. And here they're just going to go and fall out of vision as well. Let's do that. I'm not going to start with this file. I'm going to start with the previous one, which was cracked 14. That's the one I showed you in the beginning. And then we can go and get started with this. So that's one thing, the physics. I think I'm going to do those first. And then afterwards, let's see if we can put some materials on the little rover. Unless we want to do that first. What do you think? Do that first? Materials on the rover? Or do the physics? What do you think? What's your preference, my friends? You let me know. I'd like to do them both today. Perhaps we'll start with physics, because that's always fun, isn't it? So I've worked out that we can always have a look at that other file to see where I need those to fall, but I think it's about frame 200 to 250. I think this is, we can just about see the camera coming around there. That's where I need them to fall. But as far as I know, I don't think Blender can start an animation at some point later. So what I'll do is I'll just let Blender simulate this at frame 0 as it does. Then I turn the physics into keyframes, and then I just take the keyframes and move them to where I need them to fall. That's much easier, I think. So, but as a reference, I'll just go to frame 200, and I'll just start building the rocks somewhere around here. So I'll go and put the cursor here. Gives a bit more room there. Cursor 2 selected. That's nice. I'm going to make a new collection. I might actually have a look at what is collection. Is just called collection. What does that entail? That's the logo and camera. So I'm going to call that something else. I'm going to call that oh, thank you, Christina. Yes, sometimes when I post a link, it may be that it's blocked. Yes, good point. And if that doesn't show either, let me go and post it so that it definitely shows up everywhere. Copy link location. If I post that into the Restream chat, oh, come on. Does that not work? There. Then it'll show up on all services, and it'll show up on the screen like 4 or 5 times or so. But hey, it's definitely going to be there, which is, you know, that's what we want. Yeah, sometimes bots go and snipe the links away. That sometimes happens, and then it may be that it's not approved on Twitch. That's possible. I'll go and call this kind of cameras and stuff. Stuff's probably not a good name, but I'll leave it like that. I'll make, this is new rover, that's cool. We have the debris in here, the 3 rocks, and I'll make a new collection here, and I'll name that Falling Rocks. Falling Rocks. And I'll go and maybe just go and duplicate all those rocks that are kind of the ones that I use for the replicator, so I don't want to disturb them. I'll go and go Shift D to duplicate them in the viewport, of course. Shift D, there we go, that's cool. And now I'll go and move them move just the duplicated ones. Man, which are those now? Man, I can't remember. Okay, let me undo that. All right, okay. Do you know, maybe it's time that I make that restream another moderator. Sometimes it happens. Thanks for letting me know that. Sometimes this just needs to be reset, and I don't really know why that is. You know, Restream is still a moderator, but it still doesn't show up. That's crazy. Huh. Mysteries. But okay, if the link that I've just posted now, did that show up on Twitch? Just out of curiosity? Because that was posted in a different app. So if I use it via the web app, then I post it to Mixer, then it probably only goes to Mixer. But if I put that via the Restream app, then it posts it on every service that I stream to. Poor Christina. One of those things. If it shows on YouTube, I would imagine it shows on Twitch as well. It's crazy. Why is this so complicated? Oh, right, okay. Elvis sees the link. Good stuff. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, even. Thanks for dropping by. I appreciate that. Let's go and move these rocks here and move them to falling rocks. And if I go and select this one, is this where they are? Probably in the same position now. Okay, cool. So I'm going to go and select all of these, and I'm going to move them. How do I do that again? Move the rocks to where the cursor is. Selection to cursor. There we go. Good. I like it. There they are, buried in the ground. They're also a little bit large, but it doesn't actually matter. That's nice. I don't know why they are facing the wrong way around. Perhaps we're just going to go and correct that. They're using global. Let's see if we can use local. No, it's still not quite where I would like them to face. I'm trying to make them kind of fall onto the ridge from about here. And let's go and separate them too. So rock number 5 can sit here maybe. Rock number 4 can even sit before that guy, like so. Is that cool, or should they be slightly further on the ridge? Yeah, maybe. Like that. Let's see if that works. Yeah, these are duplicates of the particle system now. So I think now that I've got that going, they're a little bit larger as well. Let me go and scale those down a tad. And also let's apply the location as well as in fact everything, all transformations. There we go. That's nice. Now where's my manipulator gone? Wasn't it here just a moment ago? I wonder. That's weird, isn't it? Move and rotate is here. Manipulator, buddy, come back. What's going down? If I select the rover, the manipulator's there. Select my rocks, it isn't. Discuss. Oh, I know. I made a copy of them, yeah, with Shift D. Is it because the origin point isn't at the rock? Could be that it's elsewhere. Maybe that is what the issue is. Set origin to geometry. Yes, that was it. Haha! Oops, that was wrong, wasn't it? Buddy, come back here. Not geometry to origin, origin to geometry. There we go. Origin to geometry. Oh, origin to geometry. Nice. Okay, we have 3 rocks with the geometry in place. Let me go and save this before we do anything drastic. So 15 was already my demo file there. I'm going to make it 16. Right, that was it. Reset the location. That's how that happened. Right, that makes perfect sense. That makes sense. Now I've saved the file here. I just want to check before I do what I intend to do with lots of rocks. I'm going to just try this with these, just with these 3 rocks. My physics thing, just see if I can remember how that all works. Perhaps I'm going to go and hide my rover just so that we have just the landscape and the rocks. Maybe even turn the materials off so we can see this a little bit better. Let's see if this works. So with my first rock here, rock 3, 4, and 5, well, maybe I'm going to rename those guys. I'm going to call them falling 1, falling 2, and falling 3. There. So let me start with this guy and apply some physics. I seem to remember that was somewhere, there we go, this little circly bit here. And go rigid body. Actually, let me go and save this one more time before we start doing anything drastic that might break the universe and all. So rigid body is what we need on that rock. And it is now in an active state. That's cool, it's dynamic. How convex, I guess we go and use mesh. Otherwise it might drop off a bounding box and all that. And the other thing that we need to participate in this thing is, of course, the landscape. So select the landscape, also select rigid body, but it is now passive. High polygon count. And I'm also going to use mesh. Otherwise, the rocks might not actually land in the crack because this is, after all, this is a landscape. And there we go. I think then that is it. All I need to do now is press the space bar. That should simulate this one rock, hopefully going into the crack. Let's see what happens. It does. Woo! There we go. That's exactly what I'd like to simulate. That is really nice. Look at him go. Boom, very nice. That is good, huh? I love it. Let's add that to the other ones. I think there was a way to do this. Rather than searching for it, I think it's in the object menu. There's something called rigid body. There we go. And bake keyframes is the one thing we want to do last, but we want to go and copy these physics to the other ones. Right, okay, so I'm going to select this one and that one, and then the last one last, and then I think that's how I do it. Copy from active. The last guy is the active one. Let's do that. Wait a second. And press the space bar again, which I believe now simulates the physics on the other 2 guys too. Not exactly what I had expected. Maybe it's because, yeah, I don't know, that didn't work, did it? Maybe they need to have independent physics, and then when I go and replicate the whole lot of them, they shouldn't really be scrunching up like that. Even though it is quite fun to watch, it's not what I want. Let's go and undo that. Maybe I just have to simulate those individually, that could be. then that kind of makes sense, isn't it? If I've copied everything from this guy to the other two, then I can see why Blender thinks that was a good idea. I can just see that. So let's see. This guy has physics on it. This guy does not. Perfect. I'll give that. I'll make that individual physics here. Go to mesh, and then I'll select this guy and do the same thing again. The mesh. There we go. Brian, we're not with, it's with 3D. We're just never there, are we? Let me see what happens when I press space now. They still do the same thing. So glad I saved this in a different spot and we can start all over again. Why is this even happening? That doesn't make any sense, does it? Shape mesh. What the? Yeah, what's so fascinating about that one spot? Let me start again from my other file there. Literally go and revert should do the trick, right? Reload the saved file. Let me do that. So at that point, maybe one of the undo steps hasn't quite counted. It's always difficult to, you know. Oh, okay, Control L after selecting. I'll try that. Blender, are you reverting? Brian, we're testing out Blender 2.81a. Super fresh. Shrink wrap isn't even peeled off. I see he hasn't reverted anything. Is that a bug? File revert is basically not linked to any function in the code. Is that what happens? I mean, I could just go and just open recent, but I thought that was what the revert function is supposed to do. So revert doesn't do... Oh, missed looking at the second step there. There we go. A for awesome, huh? I like it. Okay, there we go. Let me try this one more time. So this is without any physics applied. So falling rock number 1 gets rigid physics. Also gets, no, it doesn't get that. Gets, no, it doesn't get, gets mesh. That's cool. That gets rigid body. Also gets mesh, that's the landscape. Now second guy also gets rigid body, gets the mesh. Third guy also gets rigid body, also gets mesh. Now we're hitting the spacebar and whoa, didn't set the landscape to passive. Very good, very good. Landscape just fell to the floor. That's terrible, isn't it? So that's good to know. Whatever I did there, this guy needs to be passive. Whatever I did there to the little rocks didn't do the trick. Okay, let me try one more time now that the landscape is in place. It looks like they're magnetically sticking together. One guy didn't want to go down at all. Could it be that they're too far, too close together? Are they too big? Do they have too many vertices? Something like that? So at least one guy could resist the pull of the other. See if that works. It's like they really want to get in bed with one another. Just those two. Right, I'm going to have to split you guys up. You're going to go on opposite sides of the rock thing. It shouldn't, should it? No, I'm thinking that. But you go over here. You go over here. There. No one's sticking together, I'm telling you. Ah, there we go. No, they just liked each other. They just liked each other. It's just, you know, can't explain love. Captain! Yes, where's the captain? Captain's at work, perhaps. Well, you know, at least this works. That's kind of what I want. That's what I want. Now let's go and create multiple copies of these guys, I guess. Let me save this so that we know we have something that works. Version 17, I like it. What worked best in my tests is to just copy a few of these along this line. So that'll look nice as soon as the camera goes and pans this way, that we see lots of rocks that keep falling down here. Otherwise we'll miss the moment. Here's a good question. Can I apply a modifier to a whole collection? Can I put an array modifier on the whole collection? That'd be nice. Does that work? No, it doesn't, does it? No, because I can I? No, I don't think it works. I mean, let's try. If I go and add an array modifier to the collection, no, it just uses that one object. Okay. No, it makes sense, Christina, it makes sense. So it just selects that, it just uses that object here. Oh, well, I guess I'll add a modifier to each of these guys individually. That should do the trick. So in this case, I'm going to go up and to the side with all of them 2-3 times. That should create a nice kind of cascading effect, maybe, without them getting, you know, getting too scrunched up there. Let me try. So first of all, that's -1.1 perhaps, -1.2 even, like so. And then I'd also like for him to be further up, perhaps. Is that no, that's Z, isn't it? So 1.2 on the Z. Yeah, there we go. Like that. And then I'll have, like, you know, maybe a few. Oh, okay, then it does that. Yeah, maybe it was Y actually. Is it Y and Z? Yeah, Y and Z. Dreamlab, how are you doing? Nice to see you, Mr. Batsu. Is that what I want? It's not really what I want, is it? But maybe I'll leave it like that. Maybe I'll leave it like that and try it out. Now, while we're speaking of modifiers and all, can I copy a modifier to another object? Like all these settings here, they kind of apply to the next object as well. Can I copy the modifier? Perhaps with the copy function. Duplicate modifier at the same position in the stack. Yeah, okay. That's not the function though. How do I do that? Maybe here? Is that something you go copy? That's the object. Right, okay. Do I do it this way, Christina? This one, that one, and then this one, and then hit Control L so that the last one is the one that is the linked one? Is that how it works? Not perfect, yeah, I thought so. Control L, and I'll go and say modifiers. Woo! I've kind of done it. I guess they're different types of rocks, so maybe I need to tweak the one in the middle here to not go quite up, not quite go as far into the Y direction as the smaller rocks. But that's cool. So if I just go 0.6 here, something like that. And also, I guess the Z direction, 0.6, is that something that we know? That's not what I wanted. Undo isn't exactly a snappy affair anymore in Blender, is it? It's not like it literally digs deep. That should do the trick. I think maybe that's kind of cool. I might just turn the whole stack around a little bit, like literally just via the Z axis, something like that. Just a bit. It could be different rotations. I thought I applied them all, but it could be that it's just different rotations. It could be. I think it should be fine. The way we're doing it here, that should be enough rocks. Let me go and save this, perhaps just over what we've just done, because I think this is nice. And now, I guess it's about applying the modifiers and then simulating the physics again with all these rocks being individual pieces. Undo history is quicker, is it? I thought it's more about the application of the undo. So if I go Control Z, like if I do it in a text program, it just brings back the previous state immediately. But in Blender, it seems to take like 5-6 seconds for it to go back to the previous state. I suppose it's, there's a lot of values that it just goes and resets. But it seems to me it could be done slightly more efficiently. I wonder if it just brings back, like, I don't know, 100,000 values where it doesn't look at, hey, which ones have you actually changed, and just bring those back. Do you know what I mean? It's one of those things. Okay, I'm going to apply all these modifiers. Falling rock 1, falling rock 2, and falling rock 3. Thus, in my mad brain, turning them into individual pieces of geometry. So in an ideal world, I press space now and all these things fall down, right? That's the idea. Let's see if it works. Of course not, because they're still a single object, aren't they? Well, very funny. Okay, let's go into edit mode. Select all of these, hit P, split by loose parts, therefore creating lots of falling rocks number 1. And the same thing shall happen with these. Split by loose parts. Falling rock number 3, also split by loose parts. So funny. So now I guess though, now that I've done all the splitting into loose parts, do they all retain that thing about the physics? Oh, it looks like they do. So each of the, yeah, look at that. Very interesting. Not all the parameters, however. So the original ones are still showing that the collision type is supposed to be mesh, but the new guys, or is it just a different type of rock? Oh, okay, this guy, falling rock number 2, doesn't use, he uses the convex hull. This guy also uses the mesh. Interesting. Let's just see what happens. That's interesting. So they all have physics. They still have physics. It's just that for some bizarre reason, falling rock number 2, this guy doesn't look at the correct shape. But that's fine. Maybe I've said that wrongly. Hello, Rod. How are you doing? Oh, good. You got the notification an hour later. Thank you, YouTube. Awesome stuff. Crazy stuff. But hey, you're here. That's nice. And this is really the time, isn't it? So hey, there we go. Running low on coffee. That's not a good sign. You're just in time, Rod, because this could well be the most exciting thing in 3D history as I press the spacebar, and we'll all marvel at how these rocks hopefully fall into the crack. Are you ready for this? Drum roll. Do I have a drum roll? I need a drum roll in this thing, you know? Thanks, that's... Okay, here we go. Are we all ready for this? Okay, hold your breath, everyone. Boom! Look at that! Did you see them fall? Never mind the wobbling around, that's cool. We're going to correct that later. It's cutting out a keyframe also early. It's like what Alfred Hitchcock says, isn't it? A happy ending depends on where you stop the story. That's just like that with physics animations. We could just, you know... They are rather nervous little buggers. I don't know what's wrong with them. This worked much better with cubes, I tell you that. These guys, they still stick together here. I don't know what that is all about. Objects sticking together in physics animations. What is that about? I have no idea. Maybe it has to do with the mesh thing that I selected. Could that be? Should we have used convex hull? Maybe. Maybe it is mesh that's causing this issue. In principle, it's funky. But I think I could also just space them out a little bit further, like, you know, further over along this way, you know, over the ridge going out into the distance there. Maybe I'll do that. Oh, yeah, take care of the little one, Christina. In an hour, we'll be no further than we are right now. I could do that, or I could, check it out. I could just go and move these things individually just further out. Now that they're individual pieces, I could just go and just literally just move them, spread them out a little bit further. I might just do that. G-Shift-Z, just go put that guy here. Also gives me better view, I guess, of where in the landscape they should be. Is this the top view? That is the top view, isn't it? Yeah, let me do that. So Shift-Z, just go and put this guy here. There's probably 400 million better ways of doing this, but hey. Like you said, Brian, it is kind of nice what challenges like these teach you, especially for the next project. And well done for that painting effect, by the way. That is a very clever idea. If you haven't already, check out Brian's latest video about that mysterious painting. That's a very, very cool effect there, Brian. Very nicely done. And I like the way of not doing things in the 3D application, but rather having like an image processor take care of stuff like that. That is very clever. It really saves you on render time as well. There. Let's try this again. See if that works better. I don't know what this clumping is all about. What is this? That's ridiculous. The cubes never did that. I guess they had much easier geometry. Maybe it's literally the geometry that's causing this. It looks like they're all doing it. They're all just... They've all got this nervous effect here. It's crazy. Yeah, jumping rocks. What's up with that? That's terrible. Maybe I'll just use spheres instead next time. I wonder what that's about. Yeah, I've shown you just for those of you who weren't here, let me just go and quickly save this file. Just so that is, should have oversaved, should have made a new copy, but I think the previous one, was it 15? I think 15. That was one that I've tested this with, and I used simple cube objects to test the physics, and they behaved just perfectly fine. There we go. If I go and this is already baked to keyframes. So look at how they fall. They just fall like that, and they are a little bit nervous once they're in the crack here, but they seem to be fairly stable. So I had assumed this is just going to be super easy like that with our falling rocks as well. But of course it isn't, because that's just what 3D is like. Well done testing this with cubes, and it worked great. Now use real geometry and goes to. So there we go. That's a shame, isn't it? So there's got to be a reason for that. And these are fairly close together as well. They just have, and our rocks aren't even that complicated. I did use geometry on these as well. That is bizarre. So yeah, bizarre. Crack 17 it is. Oh, sorry, Joe. Yes, yesterday was one of those days where it was just not my kind of day, and I just didn't have the energy to do anything in 3D. So I thought, let's move it to today, and I'm in a much better place today. Yes, weird, isn't it? So I don't really know what to do about these guys. They all have the same physics, so we could change some of the parameters here. So instead of mesh consisting of triangles only, allowing for more detailed interactions than convex hulls. I suppose I could try that, or even box. Like use really simple box type animation or physics thing. Let me try that. I mean, then of course the next interesting thing is if we wanted to change all of these. I guess which one are you? Which one are you? You are falling block number 1. Okay, cool. Falling block number 3 is kind of here. Okay, let's remember this position. This is the guy I need to select last if I wanted to change his thing to, oh, he's got convex hull, perfect. So let's go and change, select all the others. Now let's select this guy last. And now I think we go into object, rigid body, copy from active. Let's do that. Let's try that. So that should now make all of these guys use convex hull. So randomly try a few out. They all have convex hull. So haha, theory worked. Let's see if that makes the simulation any better. Okay, deep breath. Marcos, good evening indeed. Good to see you. Could be the mass, could be the mess. Let's try that next. Thank you so much for the tip. Let's try convex hull now, see what happens. Rubbish, but better, don't you think? So there's less, whoops, there's less clumping. Hello, there we go. There's less clumping. Some of them seem to have fallen through the cracks now. But I think I can live with that because it's more about the falling rather than the, anything else. Some of them stay on top there. And they just go over here, so they don't clump anymore. So I think that's at least an improvement. Marcos, let's try messing with the weight a little bit. That sounds like a great idea. This I can just go and move them before they fall onto that crack there. Let's do that, let's do that. So instead of 1 kilogram, what shall we do? Shall we... I don't? I thought I did that. I thought I had changed that earlier. No, you're right. Marcos, what happened there? Now that is a serious problem here. You're right. What happened there? They should all be individually set to their origins. I had done that before I added that venomous array modifier, and split things into loose pieces. That was it. Marcos, you're a genius. This is exactly what I had. Once I had applied the array modifier, I split all these objects into loose pieces, but of course, doing that means each loose piece retains the origin point of the original piece rather than each individual one. Haha. Let's do that instantly and try that again. Marcos, you're the man. I'm so glad you're here. I should technically, Matt K, thank you so much for subscribing. I appreciate that. I should technically just be able to select them all, say Shift S and say, I might be completely wrong here. No, that's not what I need to do. Right click them and say set origin to geometry. Now, will that mean individual geometry? Let's try it out. What can possibly go wrong? That can go wrong. That's not what I meant to do. Duh. I think I have to select them all individually, right? Let me select them all individually rather than doing that in here. I'm going to do that in here from the top to the bottom. Yeah. Set origin to geometry. Woo! Set origin to geometry. Set origin to geometry. Imagine doing that with 10,000 blocks. I'm sure there's a way better way of doing that. But sadly, I do not know it. Hey, look at that. We can leave this one in place. Origin to geometry. Origin to geometry. You are the best, Marcos. I really appreciate that. No wonder this thing goes wrong. Falling rock number 2 is in the correct position. That is very good. Glad I didn't simulate 40,000 blocks, because we'd be here next year doing this. There is, of course, just literally a single button I could have pressed and that would have made everything okay, but that button is secret and none of us know what it is. So let's try this again with everything in the right place. Perhaps we're going to go and save this thing. Cracked 18 before we screw everything up. In fact, let's go and select this guy and move him over a little bit over here. There. Let's save it again. And deep breath, another physics animation coming up. I say as close to perfection as we can possibly get. How are we liking it, my friends? Is this good enough for YouTube? I love it. That's very nice. There's literally only one other thing I'd like to try, just to satisfy my curiosity, really, and that is to see if we can set these to mesh rather than convex hull. Does that make a difference? Does it make him, dig less into the landscape here? That is really what I like to know. Absolutely, Dreamlab. That's nice, isn't it? So it happens until 250. That's when they no longer simulate it. But that is perfectly all right with me. That is great. That is seriously good. I like it. Let me make that one change and just see if that's actually how it works. Okay, this is the guy. And let's go and change him to mesh. Now we go select everyone else and this guy last. Oh man, good stuff. So let's try that again. Control select this guy. Haha. Then we go object, rigid body, copy from active. Let's try that. Now everyone should have mesh deform. And they do. Good stuff. Okay, let's try that. Let's see if this makes any difference whatsoever. If the jumping thing, the jumping bug comes back. Okay. Deep breath. I can't watch. I can't watch. Yeah, look, and that's the clumping again. Very interesting. That's good to know. So geometry, or mesh rather, isn't always a good choice. Let's use convex hull instead. Hey, that's good to know. That's really good to know. Okay, so falling rock number 3. Let's put you to convex hull again. Select everything. This guy last. No, man, I always do that, don't I? That, and then this. And then we go object, rigid body, copy from active. And now we do the whole thing again and everything is hunky-dory again. Awesome stuff. That is good. That is all good. Quick save before we move on with making sure that these guys are now staying in place. Ah, yes. Those were terrible, Brian. Okay, so I've saved this. I think, let me just, have I really saved it? Let me save it again. There we go. Object, next big thing is rigid body, baked to keyframes. And we want end frame to be 250. That's fine. Step frame is 1. And go. So that'll now put the whole physics thing into keyframes, get rid of the physics. Now we have keyframes here. And the exciting thing is now that we can move them to other places. So as I said before, I don't really want these things to start falling on frame 0. I'd like for them to start falling kind of on frame 200-ish. That's what my last test was, so I can just go and move them over. They can maybe, I don't know, start falling a little bit earlier. We're going to have to tweak them to be out of vision on the first frame, so we'll do that in a minute. Let me see what that looks like when we look through the camera. So we go approach this, so they'll be out of vision at that point. And now I would like for them to start falling down already. Oh, look at that. They fall a little bit too late. I would like for that to happen a bit earlier. Or later, is that what I want? Yeah, look at that. That's what I want. That's what I want. And at that point, there's the rover. So I have hidden the rover right now. But yeah, this is kind of what I want. Just seeing what that looks like with the rover in place. So that it looks like the rover knocks off these rocks. Oh, good, I've switched the falling rocks off. Rover goes and does its thing, and then the rocks fall. They could perhaps fall a little bit earlier. So I'll go and move them over just a tiny amount. Yeah, that should be fine. Knocks off the things. That's, you know, that's what we want, isn't it, ultimately? I will do that, Joe, of course. Joe says hi, Julia.
Hello.
She's wondering what you're eating and what the noise is that's coming from the kitchen.
Potato chips.
Potato chips, lightly salted, wise potato chips.
I'm starving.
Farad, how you doing? Good to see you, my friend. So, with the rocks falling just like we want them, And having learned so much about physics, let's go and save our scene so that we have a bit of a going back point there. I like that. There is, of course, the issue with them now being in this position as we see the animation for the first time. So they're there and they're here. So we need to make sure that they only move into position by this frame here, by frame 172. So that's kind of an interesting conundrum, because I don't know how to set a keyframe for all these guys at once. I have a theory, but I wonder if there's a better way to do this, if we just animate them into invisibility, animate opacity. I can do that on the shader, I guess. But I guess ideally I would just go and, so here's my, I'm trying to, maybe let me try and explain the mental problem that I have right now. If I had selected a single object, then I could just go and select the transformation parameter here and just say, I'd like a keyframe here, I'd like a keyframe here, and these should have different positions. But because I have so many, I can't seem to select the parameter that I would like to set a keyframe on. And so that's the problem, isn't it? In my head anyway. That's a good idea, Dreamlab. That is a good idea. That is what ideally what I'd like to do. There is a grouping thing. I do remember it being super terrible in previous versions of Blender, because there was grouping and there was parenting, and there was always some issue with grouping. I could never work it out. It wasn't as simple as whack everything in a group and then the group has one handle. It was never like that in Blender. It was always not something my mind could understand easily. Parenting works just the way we know it. So I could potentially create a null object. So that's along the same lines. I could create a kind of an empty. They call it empty in Blender. Use an empty object and then animate the empty and parent all my rocks to the empty. I think maybe we'll go down that route. That's how we're going to do it, isn't it? That's how we're going to totally do it, man. So inside my group here, falling rocks, even perhaps on the first frame, let me go and create a new empty. There we go. Axis, arrow, circle, cube. Cube maybe. I like cube. Let me go cube. In fact, if we had we been clever, I'll select all my objects here. I'm going to go and put the cursor to the selected so that it goes right in the middle there. And then I'll go into my falling rocks, and now I go and create an empty cube thing, which is now here. That's cool. That's my cube encapsulating all my other objects. So now I'm going to go and select all of these guys, and now I'm going to go and parent them. Could be Control P, could be P. Let me try P. P doesn't do anything. Good stuff. Control P perhaps. Ha! Set parent to, and I guess I should have, selected the empty as the last object. Control P and go object. Object keep transforms without inverse. Oh man, don't ask me these questions. The survivor outfit for art. Yes, I reserve that for special episodes of DAS Studio 101, which I was going to tape yesterday, new installment about HDRIs and mesh light, not mesh lights, about global illumination in DAZ Studio, and I just wasn't feeling it. I'm so sorry. That was planned for yesterday, but I just couldn't get myself to do it. I just didn't have the energy, I'm afraid. But that is reserved for those occasions, of course. Let's try this. Yes, look at that. Cool. So now, observe, my friends. I can now open this, and now I can animate this whole empty. Now, will my rocks still fall as soon as I go over to my thing? Yes, they do. Great. That's exactly what I want. That is so totally what I want, man. That's totally awesome. Now I can just animate the empty out of vision. So let's see where we need them to be in place right here. So the rock we won't, well, the empty we won't see. So I guess here, this is making an even round number. Add frame 200. I would like that and that to be animated. Rotation we probably don't need. I'll just do it because that's just, I'm the belt and braces kind of guy. So now we need them to be in position. A couple of frames earlier, literally here, 196, I'm happy for them to be somewhere else already. Actually, I need them to be somewhere else. Perhaps ways outside of the field of vision, just far up. Z axis, perfect. That's the only thing we need to animate. So watching the camera here, they're nice and kind of outside of the frame of vision. We approach this, we don't see the rocks, Rover comes, things fall into place like really fast, and then they go and do that. That's exactly what I want. And rover goes past that little thing here. But Dreamlab, I have to say, it is once you get into that new mindset of how the new Blender works, it is actually much better in terms of where and how things are organized. So some things still trip me up, like the dupli objects thing and where certain items are in the menus. But because it's weird, you learn it the illogical way in Blender 2.79, and now it's kind of a clean slate that is applied. And once that learning curve is over and you got used to this, you'll appreciate how they do things in Blender 2.8 and beyond. I like it. I say, my friends, I need some more coffee, so I'm gonna go and let's take a 5-minute break, and I shall be back right after with a bit of coffee. And then, whoops, before we do anything, of course, let's go and save this scene. Haha. And then we'll go grab some more coffee, and then we'll be back for another hour or so, I say. Is that a deal? Let's do that. Let's do it. Welcome back. Thank you so much for joining me once again. Just before we get started, I have a 50-second clip I wanted to share with you. And here it is. These are some titles that I've been working on this morning. This is for my oncology-related channel called Super Survivor, or the website is called supersurvivor.tv. And I've been meaning to put something together, some kind of a title sequence. And I wanted to do this quickly. So I thought maybe instead of using 3D, I'm going to use something else. And I had a look at those motion templates in Adobe Premiere Pro. And can you believe one of those sequences takes about 12 to 14 minutes to render, which is crazy. So I couldn't decide on what color scheme to use. So I made a few variations. But I do like the first one in blue. They all have this retro kind of feel to it, so maybe I'll use them all. There's quite a few. Maybe I'll play them again because it's kind of nice to talk about this. This is the first one. Yeah, I do like this one, and so I can use this whole compilation as a holding loop for the cancer live stream that's coming out in April. I'll be the tech man there again at the oncology symposium, and this is I believe from Hollywood in Florida, not LA. It's in Florida. And I'm also doing a presentation, doing a little talk about my experience with immunotherapy there. So that'll be interesting. So for that, I have all the presentations from last year. I have a few other cancer talks. One of them was with my oncologist, Dr. Kuznir, that I've edited today. And I needed something like a title sequence for that, just something that just emphasizes the branding of the website, the channel, and the event. And this is what I came up with. So I thought, I'd share that with you. There we go. Oh, very good, very good. And thank you so much for your comment, Joe, about I do things when I feel like, and this is exactly what these streams are designed to do. Yeah, thank you. Yes, thank you for reinforcing that. And thank you all for joining me again after the break. I've got some more coffee, very heavy coffee cup. This is decaf now. It's, winding down the day. Important to do that. Thank you, Rod. I appreciate that. And hey, if I had a private jet or if I had unlimited funds, I'd go with you to Micro Center, get that SSD, and we'd install Windows 10 together on a cold afternoon in the winter. Maybe one day, hey? Let's see what we can do about this animation. So I think now that we know physics so well, I would like for us to do something similar to these falling rocks. When we're on this logo there. So once this little guy is gone by, I think right now I'd like for more rocks to fall, maybe, 100 or so. That'd be kind of funny to just have something falling in front of the sign. And now that we've found out how to do this efficiently, maybe we can do it even more efficiently. So same rocks, I say, more rocks, more replication going on, and just have them all fall kind of in this cascading thing, just all on one plane, kind of maybe slightly offset against one another, and just have them fall. That might be kind of cool. Too late for coffee, Goma. Yeah, I understand. And also Fardad, sorry, I was calling you Farad earlier. Sorry, that was my brain jumbling up those letters. It's Fardad, of course. So there we go. Sorry about that. You come to my place, Rod. Let's do that. That's a good idea. Catch some sunshine. It's a great idea. So yes, let's see. Those rocks starting to fall on about frame 500, and we'll elongate the animation past frame 600 to about maybe frame 700, I guess, so that we have enough stuff there. That's a good idea. Let's start with that. Frame 700 shall be where we end up. We'll leave the camera in place and just have rocks falling down and just having them settle down. Starting to fall on frame 500 to about here, and then they just go and settle down. I guess that's how we're going to do that. But of course, the big thing is we need to start placing them once again. So I say let's go and select that. And maybe make that our where the cursor resides, cursor to selected. It's a good starting point. And shall we use the same rocks that we already have? Shall we make new rocks? Shall we do something completely different? Have just cubes falling down? Suzettes maybe? Suzannes even? That's an idea. That might be an idea. Instead of kann ich mir vorstellen, Goma. Oder du sagst ihnen einfach, ich musste diesen unglaublich guten Stream ansehen, ich konnte nicht anders und entschuldige, ich komme erst um 12. Auch eine Möglichkeit. One of those things. If we could only do that, that'd be so cool. What do you think? Shall we use rocks or shall we use Suzanne's falling down? Suzanne, in case you don't know, that's this monkey thing here. Mesh monkey. So go and make a monkey. Slightly too big, of course, but you get the picture. So it'd be like something like an homage to the Planet of the Apes. That'd be cool. I don't know. It's just something a little bit different. We'd have to rotate them, and they're easy to make. The origin point is already set up, so that's good. We don't have to mess with that. Or we just use rocks. I don't know. I can't decide. If we were to use monkeys, they'd look like this, perhaps a little bit smaller. And people of the Blender world would know exactly what that means. People who are unfamiliar with Blender won't probably get the reference. Rod, that would be too difficult. Or we use rocks. Maybe we just stick with the whole rock theme. I don't know. I'll take votes, my friends. I'll take votes. Suzanne versus rocks. Let me know. Maybe I can set this up actually as a poll. There we go. What shall fall, I wonder? And option 1 is going to be rocks. Option 2, Suzanne's. There we go. Poll is running now. And they can run that, be cool as well. Christina says rocks. I'm thinking rocks. Oh, Goma, don't say that. I'm with rocks as well. Let's go with rocks. Captain! Hello. Does my thing work here? Captain? Round of applause for the captain. Very nice. Rod says rocks. Christina says captains. No, we can't make captains fall. Just a little joke. Captain, you can make the final decision here. This is where we've made the following, and let me know what you think. Ignore the monkey over there. Ignore the monkey. So we've made rocks fall in our animation. We do this. We go like that. The rover drives, kicks over some rocks, and the rocks fall down in the scene. Now we reach the sign. Rover goes by, and more rocks fall from above over the sign, just as a joke, about 100, 200 rocks or so. As we just look at 3D Shenanigans, rocks keep falling, keep settling down. Captain, shall we have the rocks that we've just seen over here, same rocks, which are the same rocks that we've used for the landscape, and just have them fall, be a cohesive theme, or shall we have Suzanne's fall? Kind of a Planet of the Ape type thing. Or is that ugly? Having monkey heads fall over that doesn't make any sense, does it? I say rocks. Let's go with rocks. Have your say, Captain. Christina says rocks. Rod says rocks. I say rocks. Christina, Julia says let's rock. Okay. The captain says rocks. If the captain says rocks, that's good enough for me. Let's do rocks. Suzanne, sorry about that. Boom. Now, how do we best do this to avoid the pitfalls through which we've just jumped in making these rocks fall? This was kind of cool to pair them to an empty, so I really like that. That was very, very good. I say maybe first of all, let's go and select falling rock number 1 and number 2 and number 3. They already have physics properties copied onto them, so that's kind of cool. Let's go and Shift D them. I never know where I'm supposed to be. Am I supposed to be here? No, I'm supposed to be here. Aren't I? Shift D. That's made them all appear. And I'm going to go and select Enter right away. But they're still selected. They're just not where that cursor thingy is right now. So I'm going to go Shift S and I say Selection to Cursor. And now, as if by magic, all my rocks that have been duplicated are over here. Now, one other thing that's very important is I need to unparent them from the current hierarchy of being paired to the first empty. That's interesting. How do I do that? How do I unparent something? Unparent? Does that even work? I could perhaps parent them to something else. That might be an idea. Create a new empty and then parent them to something else. She is often there. I totally agree. Right click. See, thank you so much, Christina. Let's do right click. Parent. Clear parent. And keep transformations. Save first. Oh my goodness. I've saved actually before we did this, so we should be okay. Let's try. And keep transformations. Keeping transformations puts them in here. Yes. That also makes sense. Let's just go Shift S. There they are. Let's go Shift S and put them Selection to Cursor. That should move them over here. That's awesome. I'd love to set their rotation to 0. Rather than applied, I'm going to go and set this to 0. Is there a way to do this? Control S is indeed my good friend, indeed. Can I set this to 0 any other way other than typing zeros into these fields? Not so much into the location, but into the rotation. I just go do this and then say 0, I guess. Yeah, there we go. Control Shift S, then Enter. Do you know what? I'm going to try that. I'm just going to undo what I just did there, and I'm going to totally try that, Christina. Control Shift S. Okay. Right. So rotation, marking all these fields, hacking in 0, and followed by Enter. Clears the rotation. That is cool. I like it. Let me go move this guy. Whoops. Whoa, dude. No. What? Go back. Come on, there. I guess apply rotation, apply location is probably all transforms perhaps. That's good. That's your new 0, my friend. But also, your freaking origin points are not where they're supposed to be. Set origin to geometry. There. Good. It looked like it was at a different place there. Okay, so now with all these 3 guys selected, I could lift them up because I want them to come from the top. And I'll do exactly what I did before. I suppose they're coming from here. I'm also going to rotate them a little bit around the x-axis like so. And now I'm going to go separate them out. I'll call these falling logo 1, 2, and 3. Christina, that is just the fun of it all. There, so 1, 2, and 3 are now separated out. Now, so previously I had this issue that if I go and select the first rock here, and I'll just go and select, turn that into an array modifier and just stack them up so that I have like 10 of those coming from the same column, and then maybe, you know, something like that. The moment I separate them by loose parts, the origin points are not at the geometry. I have to do that sort of manually. I'd like to avoid that because that was pants. Oh, is it? Control F2 is to batch your name. Ah. Instances. Will that work though with instances? Because no, that will work, won't it? I'm just thinking instances, does that have, will they still have each, is each object going to be physically simulated rather than one is simulated and all the others follow? Or is that not how it works with instances? And then just go and hit Alt D and just place them into different positions. That, I suppose in our case, this would work, but if we had like 10,000 of those, that would be difficult, Marcos. With instances, they would, yeah. That's kind of a conundrum, isn't it? Unless there is a way to select multiple objects and then, so there's got to be, let's tell you what, let's try it out. Let's try it out. That's what this is good for. So this is the Z-axis. Let's go and add an array modifier. Array, here we go. Array. And let's say 10. And let's say we go up in the Z by 1.2. That just, and then we do 0 here, and then they just stack them high. There we go. In fact, before we do anything else, let's just go and save this. And go, that's going to be cracked 20. I like it. We haven't screwed anything up. It's kind of good, isn't it? So what I did earlier was literally go and apply this thing so that we have multiple copies of that. But of course, this is now one object rather than individual objects. So in order to make that happen, we go and enter edit mode, select everything, and then we hit P, and then we go split or separate by loose parts. But in so doing, each of these still retains their own origin at the very center of the first guy here. So now that they're all selected, there's got to be a way to say set origin to center of mass volume. Maybe that's the key to happiness here. So origin to geometry would place the cursor into the middle of the stack for each object. That's probably not what we want. I'll try that in a minute, Christina. I like to try this thing if we say center of mass, surface, or volume. Let's try surface first, see what happens now. If I do that, it looks like that did the trick. Look at that, no matter which of these things I select, you know, there's somebody at the door. Give me 1 second, hang on a second. Sorry about that. It's my neighbor, and I have looked after her mail, and she just wanted to collect the mail and get get the key and all that. So yeah, quick visit to upstate New York. Okay, so that certainly did the trick. That's nice. That was more like a test. I didn't really want them to be stacked up like this, so I'll go and, as much as it pains me to do this, I'm going to go and delete these guys and just put them in a different order. I mean, now that we know it works this way, and you, there. Now that we know it works this way, that's kind of what we want. So I think I'm going to go and just stagger them slightly erratically. I'm trying to do that. I'm glad we worked this out. So first of all, up in the z-axis at 1.2 that way, and perhaps also slightly further to kind of the back, so that's the y way, perhaps 0.5, and then just nothing in the z. Well, actually a little bit in the z. I think I'll do that. Yeah, maybe use 3 instances like that, and I'll do the same with all the others, and then I can go and kind of use the same principle, but then kind of turn them around and see what we can come up with there. Scatter, yes, scatter. Is that another modifier? Christina, or my scatter was an add-on, wasn't it? I think scatter was an add-on. Maybe next time. I'm going to give it a miss. Scatter. I think I can see it working on a landscape. I think this is going to blow my mind, actually. Let me just go have 3 instances like that, and then I'll go duplicate the whole thing, and then I'll just move it around, kind of manually scatter this. Maybe 4. Let's do 4. That's cool. And then I'll do the same with, whoops, I'll do the same, dude, come on. I'll do the same with the other rocks. And I'll say, that wasn't it, was it? It's object. Was it paste objects? No, that's not it. I'm trying to paste the modifier. And Christina's totally shown me how to do that, and I've already forgotten how that worked. Was it right click perhaps? It was right click, wasn't it? Paste, rename, insert keyframe. Was it somewhere in the object library? Collections, constraints. Control L, there we go, Control L. I'll try that. Modifiers, make links, right. Thank you so much, Marcus and Christina, I appreciate that. Whoa, what happened there? That was not good, was it? Quick, escape. In fact, undo. Maybe I had selected the wrong thing. This one, and then select this one as the last one. No, I thought I did that. Control L, modifiers. Same thing. Okay. That's fine. It's only a couple of objects. I'll do it manually. I'm happy manual kind of guy. Add array. And go to this one because I can't remember. 0.5, 0.5, and 1.2. Zero 0.5, There. Fine. We'll do it that way. Alt D. That is weird, isn't it? Because specifically because earlier it worked just fine. And this is what I enjoy about Blender. You think you've learned something and you apply it the next time. It doesn't work anymore. It's one of those things. Yeah, that's kind of nice, nicely scattered. So now I'll go and I'll leave the modifiers in place for now, and I'll just go and duplicate this and put that on the other side here. Still thinking, should these be linked instances or individual bits and bobs? I can't decide. I think I'm going to do Shift D. I just make him individual things. So Shift D. Shift Z, just go put this guy here, RZ to go and do something like that. Oops. Oops. Shift D and Shift Z here, GZ, put that up here, and then rotate this guy to maybe here. And we haven't duplicated him, so Shift D on this guy. I use several things, Captain. Sometimes I use Premiere. That's kind of my I've been using that for 20 years. Can you believe it? And then I kept using it on my Mac because I had an old version of Premiere there, and I've only recently resubscribed to the latest version, so I have like 10 years worth of things to catch up on. And other than that, I'm using Camtasia sometimes. And I also use iMovie. So it's kind of depending on what computer I'm on and what I'd like to do. Camtasia is kind of very simple editor, but has nice effects when you do screen recordings, and it lets you do all these nice effects like highlight the cursor after the fact. So you record the screen with just nothing other than their screen recording software, and then you can zoom in and out, and it's fairly easy to accomplish that. And you can add other effects to it, like when you click, like a circle can come up, or when you can display keyboard shortcuts as you have typed them. And that's kind of nice. So it does all that, and has some nice transitions, nice easy transitions. Premiere is much more complicated, of course. iMovie is also nice and easy. Should we have some more? Maybe I'll have this guy one more time. So Shift D, RZ to this way, GZ slightly further up, G Shift Z, put this guy over here. Yeah, maybe like that. That's scattered enough, isn't it? Ah, Hit Film Pro, I've never heard of that. Many swear by DaVinci Resolve these days, so I need to try that out. But there's only so much time in my life, so one of those things. Okay, let's go and apply all these modifiers and then separate all these things out. I think this is kind of enough. If we need more, I think we can just grab all these things and just multiply them, put them one higher so that we have, more things falling down. Maybe we'll do that. First of all, I'm going to go and apply, I'm going to go and save this thing one more time, before I go and apply these modifiers. Yeah, Photoshop, I mean, it's kind of interesting how many functions they've smuggled in there with Photoshop. That is very cool. I think I'm going to do these all individually, like all these stacks individually. So while these are selected, I'm going to go into edit mode and split them by loose parts. And while they're still selected, I'm going to do this right-click, set origin to center of mass with surface. That's the one, isn't it? And then we have each of these now has their origin points set where we want them to be. Good stuff. That'll be the workflow. Apply modifier. And it's got the media encoder kind of built in as well, which is also very, very cool. Oh, there was something I had this Photoshop subscription, and then I added the Premiere subscription to it. And I think before that I had the trial version for 10 days or so. It's kind of crazy that they only give you that for 10 days. And it said, hey, upgrade now to the Premiere standalone plan, and you only get Premiere, something like that. That was a very misleading on-screen message, and I thought, oh my God, you don't get media encoder anymore when you get Premiere? And so I reached out to their support, and they said, no, you still do. Where did you read that? And I said, your kind of pop-up window suggested that I needed the all apps plan to get access to the media encoder. And they said, no, you still get the media encoder when you either subscribe separately to After Effects or Premiere. I thought, yeah, that's what it should be like. And luckily it was, so that was good. Mass. All right. Apply this guy. Oh, that is advanced, Christina. That would be very advanced. Blender for video editing. Oh, this guy's already applied. Good stuff. Good stuff. Look at that. We've got this, we've got that. That's nice. This guy's also applied. Look at that. We're nearly done. How about this guy? This guy and that guy. Okay, cool. So apply this. And set origin to mass thing. Final one. Come on. I'm always aware that you press one wrong button and it's just not fun. Once you lose the rhythm. Mass. Haha. Whew. Yes, DaVinci, many swear by it as well. There's so many YouTubers full of videos that say, we can't work with Premiere anymore, we go to DaVinci Resolve. Kind of crazy. I used DaVinci, I tell you that, I used DaVinci 25 years ago for color correction. That was a little panel. That was more about the hardware than the software for tape-to-tape color correction in television. That was very cool. So, yay, Backdoor 3D! Oh, Steve, it is so wonderful to see you. We wish you all the best. We have so many questions for you, and it is so wonderful to see you. It's you're up and about, you're alive. This is great. You're connected to the internet and all that. I hope you're getting out of hospital very, very soon. I'm so glad we saved this, my friends, because I think this is the same phenomenon that happened with the wheels of the rover. All these rocks are now in the same place. And it is because maybe this is actually what I did wrong last time. I wasn't on frame 0 of the timeline. And I didn't lock in their position. I didn't apply their transformation when I had the chance. So like a simple undo isn't going to do the trick because they weren't saved in that position above the sign. That sucks. Ciao, Steve. When are they going to let you out? What's the word there? What's the word on the street? I'll have to go back to the previous file, to the previous state save. Maybe they're still in the same position there. Don't know. Probably aren't because I wasn't on frame 0 of the animation. No, okay, they aren't. That's cool. Nope. I hope so too, Steve. I hope so too. So I'm on frame 0 now. That's cool. All I need to do is Shift S, selection to cursor, and then we take it from, whoops, we take it from there. So these are now all these things with modifiers applied. Should be fairly easy to put them into position again. And as soon as I've got separate objects, I'm going to go and keyframe them immediately. How well? Oh, there's more over here. Oh no, that's we're gonna ignore those. That's cool. They're for a different project. Yeah, exactly what happened to me with those. Oops. With those wheels on the rover. There. Good night, Goma. Of course, have a good time at the office. We don't want to keep you up too late. Do you know, I saw William Cheer do this every 15 minutes. His bot puts a message in the chat to remind him of something, like an automated message. In his case, it was a note to William Cheer to save the project. And maybe I should do that. Make sure you're on frame 0 and save a version of your project. That might actually be helpful. Ah, oh well, gets you into the habit. So these things, they confuse me, but they're there for a reason. So that's all good. So I guess they're all in position now. So let me go and make sure once I separate them, they all need to have this thing keyframed. I don't know what happens if I do this now. I think they need to be separate objects to just remember this as the keyframe. I think that's how it works. No, look at that. My God, I move away from frame 0 and the disaster happens again. Oh man, can you believe it? That's just wrong, isn't it? That's just so wrong. I wonder what's wrong with my thinking then. This is happening. It doesn't work, Christina. It's not. Let's test this out. I don't think it is that. I was on frame 0 and saving had nothing to do with it. Let's try this out. They're all scrunched up. They are now all on frame 0. This is seriously uncool. All these guys, go over to selection to cursor. We are on frame 0. Just for a laugh, I'm going to put these here. I'm going to go and save these as a new thing. We're on frame 0, right? $22. I'm going to move from frame 0. We're saved, right? And they go to pots. They go to pots. They go back to where they were before. Not that that makes any sense to me. I'm sure there's a perfectly reasonable explanation, but it's just not something I can understand, I'm afraid. Yeah, that's a shame. It could be. Poor cubes. So I wonder how to solve that problem. I don't really know. Maybe if I go and put them to that 0 point again. So if I go Shift S, selection to cursor, and then I'll go put them up. Well, that wasn't up, was it? That was something else, but it wasn't up. Do I need to apply the location, perhaps, on frame 0? That could be it. Let me try that, just selecting one after the other here. Oops. And that can stay in position. So before I do anything else, maybe selecting all these guys and now go and Control A, apply all freaking transformations. Does that do the trick? Could be. Let me see what happens when we move the timeline now. Yeah, they are already animated, aren't they? I forgot about that, Marcos. Again, you've hit the hammer, the nail on the head. Yes, that was probably it. Let me just do this all for the 7th time with all these things selected. Shift S, selection to cursor. Oh, look at that. It doesn't work. It's because I applied the location before I deleted the keyframes, wasn't it? Yes, yes, yes. That was probably it. Let me try one more time then to go back to our previously saved thing. Revert to the last thing. I'll just do that with a couple just to satisfy my curiosity here. So Shift S, selection to cursor. That's awesome. Move all these guys up. X all the keyframes, and now they're staying on frame 0. You are absolutely right, Marcos. It was because they had an animation applied, and of course that's not what we want. Well, there we go. Sorted it out. Worked it out. Thank you so much for your tip. This is your valuable asset. Your valuable asset to my dark tapping through like a blind man through Blender. This is it's very helpful to me. I do appreciate that. Whoops. Well, now for the 8th time. I'm getting fast at this, so that's good. That's the view I was looking for. There. So should I now apply the transformations of these puppies? Is that a good idea? Maybe I should. Maybe I should, with all these guys selected. Control A, apply all transformations. Why would that happen? Why would that happen? It doesn't make much sense to me, I'm afraid. It just doesn't make any sense. It just you know, it would make much more sense if it would actually follow logical things, you know. But Blender doesn't seem to do that. Or maybe it does, and I'm just, you know, I'm just not. It just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense, I'm afraid. What happens when I move my playhead now? Everything going awry? No, that's good. So at least it stays where I want it to be. My friends, it's getting late. I think I'm gonna stop it here. This is good. It looks like we've saved it. It looks like these cubes no longer move. So that's nice. Maybe we can pick this up tomorrow and separate these puppies once more and then finally simulate the rocks falling onto the side. So my plan is to leave them in this position and then kind of multiply the whole thing once or twice more to the top so that there's a lot of things falling down. So currently the modifiers are not applied. I'm going to leave this as it is. It is already saved, latest version. Let's go save this again just in case. Yes, and just remind us of the partial success that we at least had with letting those rocks fall down. Look at that. That's also crazy because they are now. Why are they still in vision? Didn't we move them out of vision with the empty? Why are they in vision again? That makes no sense. Does that make any sense to anyone? Because it doesn't to me. Could have sworn these guys were not part of anything. Fascinating. So these are the guys that are still animating as we want them, popping into vision when we need them. Oh, so the other guys are maybe we're just seeing them. Oh, right, we're just seeing them through the camera. Okay. This is just, these are our rocks that we haven't animated them out of place. These are our real rocks, so they're still here. Those guys, we'll deal with them just like we did last time. So, my goodness. Questioning my sanity there. Good stuff. Whew. Anyway, one last save and then I'll say goodnight. Thank you so much for joining me. Tomorrow do you have any meetings around 4 o'clock? No? You're off tomorrow. Perfect. So tomorrow about 4 o'clock, but that kind of, you know, that works well for me. Let's do this again. 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. My friends, have a good night. Take care.